thank you for tuning in with us today. Welcome to 27 Degrees SAG. We are broadcasting from the Galactic Center. I'm Duncan Sabatino, and I am the producer, and I would like to invite our host, Kimla Lowe. Hi, Kimla.
Hey, Duncan. How are you today? Everybody good over there? Huh? Thank you so much for coming along with us. 27 Degrees SAG. You know, why did we name it that? The show is named really after the location of the Galactic Center in your birth chart. Everyone has that particular location in their birth chart, and that is where the universe actually broadcasts the consciousness of source. And so I thought, isn't that thrilling? We are going to be broadcasting. Why not go into the future and broadcast a little bit higher frequency and some new consciousness so that we can all share this raising up of our level in our frequency, our awareness, our commitment to our contracts of why we're here on planet Earth, and for everyone to share the information. Tonight, I'm so excited. I have a spiritual friend in the house. She's amazing. Her background, actually, she was a school teacher, a mom, and she is fabulous. She's done so many cool things. I cannot wait for you to meet her. Her name is Laura Van Tyne, and she is a remote viewer, a speaker. She's an author. I want to show you her latest book. It is called Soul Tribe. It is Navigating the Spiritual War. She has gotten herself into the war between light and dark, what it's all about, the fourth dimension. She also is huge about sharing her research on entity protection. We're going to learn all about that this evening. She has solutions for the etheric protection, spiritual protection, and she wants to also help raise your frequency so you can optimize your spiritual health, your physical health, and your mental health. Everybody, welcome to the show. Hi, Laura. How are you?
Hello. I'm wonderful. Thank you. Thank you both.
Yeah, no problem.
Listen, you have so many things going on right now. I don't know where to begin, but it is a new moon in Scorpio tomorrow, November 4th. I just want to kind of give everybody a heads up. I'm a certified astrologer in Western astrology, also Chinese astrology. There's a few points that just sort of interlace with our subject tonight. I find it so interesting. The portal right now, because of Halloween, because of All Saints Day, All Souls Day, our portal is very wide open, and the veil is so extremely thin. It's just a mist right now for any type of transitioning from planet Earth to anywhere else, which means that it's kind of like chutes and ladders, and the chute is open now. So entities are coming up from the underground, from the fourth dimension. There's also galactics that are getting in so easily into the portals. There's also earthlings who are actually having their exit tickets in hand, waiting for that perfect moment to make their transition, because it is so easy and it is supported. So we're going to see a lot of people transitioning at this time, a lot of spiritual energy coming through. A lot of people who do not believe in this type of thing are going to be having their own experiences right now. So this new moon is for starting new things, planting new seeds, really kind of putting your wish list, your 10 wishes on paper, and writing them in a way that's so positive, like they have already come to you. So you're also adding that particular element of attraction to your wish list as well. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this new moon. This new moon really kicks off and supports our eclipse season. Eclipse seasons, they're kind of like three supermoons all stacked up, and they provide the spark, the power to actually change seasons. And this is so amazing. This particular power surge, this eclipse, we've got two of them coming at us, and this new moon tomorrow night supports them beautifully in the sign of Scorpio, which is a very passionate, intense, deep. It's a water sign, so it's emotional, it's dramatic. It also brings out a lot of truths because Scorpio, it dives deep. It's ruled by Pluto. It was ruled by Mars. So we get these very intense, I want to say, transformational energies brought to each of us. Where is it in your astrology chart? I'd love to work with you. I'd love to show you. You know, astrology is really a star language. And I happen to know that particular language, and I would love to share it with each and every one of you. You can go to my website, kimlalow.com, and you can book a session with me. I have half hour, I have hour, and we can just unfold what's in front of you so you can empower yourself to make the best decisions possible. Okay, so Laura, with all of this entity energy, all of this spiritualness coming up from the underground, from the fourth dimension, this is the season, am I right?
It's the season. You're right. The veil is really thin. There's a lot of interferences happening. And one sign of this, and you don't have to be particularly psychic to feel it. The ability to sense things is also a psychic ability versus seeing with your third eye. And if you're feeling off or you're feeling some unexplained anxiety or maybe it's like some brain fog, there could be something around. Those are all subtle signs. These are subtle energies. But this third dimension, is impacted all the time by the fourth dimension. If that weren't true, we wouldn't have terms like angels and demons and ghosts throughout the history of the planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so as we go through this, we have to understand that everything is energy. These beings and entities are energy. We are energy. And we are very much impacted by these entities. And right now, it's a very sensitive time for this. I remember years ago when one of my daughters, who was really quite psychic, we went out trick-or-treating. It was Halloween, and we get out there, and she sees all of these like etheric knives just like pointed at our house from the outside. It was so bizarre. And there's an easy way to remove these things because they're kind of like thought forms. Thoughts are things. And one of the easiest ways to remove them is to visualize yourself pouring salt on them. Salt cleanses in all dimensions. And, they went away. She had a good time. And then I requested angels to come in and protect her and protect the house during this time because the energies were volatile.
Right.
And after about 2 days, my daughter, when you request angels, I'm going to back up a moment. Be specific. I want a choir of angels to be protecting my house right now until, Tuesday, whatever that is. Okay. And so as these angels are getting released, my daughter's like, her eyes get really big and she's like, oh my God, Mom, they wrote the word bye, Jackie, with their little angel bodies in the sky.
Oh,
and you can't make that stuff up.
That's so great. I know. I know. We were leaving to evacuate the house that we were in New Jersey for Hurricane Sandy when it was approaching. And at the time, a friend of mine, we were renting this house, and she was also very spiritual. And a lot of you know her, Daryl. She was a dear friend, and she also was on the radio, and she was also a mystic. And we placed angels in every single corner of that house. And I have to tell you, when we came back, we weren't allowed to come back until 6 weeks later after everything. And our particular house didn't have one speck of sand in it. My car was parked there. It started up right away. Other neighbors, I felt like horrible because they were shoveling the sand out of their front doors to even get in the house that was filled with water. And I cannot tell you how important it is to really open your hearts and believe in angels and let them give you an experience that you'll never forget. Just like Jackie had.
Yeah, right. They're important. Angels are, and I talk about it a lot in my book that you mentioned, they are the most underutilized human resource we have. The angelic realms are here to help humanity. And we've been programmed to believe that, oh, I'm not worthy of an angel's help, or we've been programmed to believe, oh, my problem's not big enough, or oh, I'm not good enough. We have been programmed with these beliefs. The truth is, these angelic realms are here to serve us, but they are bound by spiritual law. So they cannot help us unless we ask. So can we see where the problem lies in that disconnect? So the question I pose is, who programmed us to believe that we are not worthy of angelic assistance? It wasn't God. It wasn't the angels, right?
Right.
Who programmed us to believe those things?
Right.
And we need to remove guilt, blame, and shame. And as we can all grow our spiritual team, starting with the angelic realms, but we have to ask. Ask your angels, I need a good parking spot. What's wrong with that? You know, if you drive around with me, everybody's always like, wow, man, you always get the best parking spots. Yeah, because I ask, right? Even, you know, the mundane things, ask them for help. I hate buying pants, okay? It's just not my thing. I always get lost in a mall. You go into a mall like Nordstrom's or something, I can never find my way out because I think it's the perfume counter like disorients me. So I always go shopping with an entourage of angels. Lead me in, lead me out.
You know, that's interesting. That reminds me, when you say that, like even asking the mundane things and having your angels come in to, you know, guide you to those directions that you want to go in, even those small things that might not seem like it's a big thing. I think it's important to do that, to build that relationship with your guides and your angels or your soul tribe.
That's what it does. When we ask for help in the mundane, every time we ask an angel for assistance, we're connecting to the divine, we're connecting to God. Every single time. But if we never ask, we never connect, we are disconnecting ourselves to the God, to creator, to source. So use your angels, use them often. If you have children, use your angels to assist your children in school. Use your angels to help them sleep at night, because a lot of times those entities we're talking about get a lot of energy at night. Ghosts don't need to sleep. Dark entities don't need to sleep. We do. So bring in the angels and be specific. If you have a child with night terrors, and a lot of moms and dads do, request a choir of angels, request a dozen angels, whatever your number is, what you can muscle test it on your fingers. Request them to surround your child at night from this time to this time, And you're going to say, protect my child, remove everything that is not for my child's greater good as my child sleeps at night. Request they keep your child safe. Do it every single night, over and over and over. And you're doing a few things. You're connecting yourself, your family, your home to God, to Source, to Creator. You are also creating a barrier, and you're raising the frequency of your home, because now when your home is full of the angelic realms, that's a high frequency realm. Use them. Use your angels as much as you can.
Absolutely. And talking about kids, we're just talking about kids, and in feng shui, I'm a feng shui practitioner. Children's bedrooms, I get called in all the time to redesign children's bedrooms, and the results that we've been having for children to remove the color red from their room, to remove anything that has points or flying above, some people have airplanes flying around them. These are things that do not connect with a sound sleep. Anything that has to do with racing cars or trucks or anything like that, pennants. A lot of dads had, when they grew up, had this great collection of baseball pennants or football pennants, and they want their kids to have them. Well, do that in the playroom, but not in their bedroom. Also remove any mirrors. There are no mirrors in anyone's bedrooms. Please, they open a portal onto themselves. It's really good, too, to make children feel very safe, to have a picture of their parents next to their bedside table, so they know mom and dad are very close to them while they try to go to sleep. And we used to say our prayers every night. Now I lay me down to sleep. We'd say our prayers all the time. We'd also pray over our food all the time. And these are some things that have just kind of been forgotten, maybe, or put by the wayside, that I hope we bring back. And I hope we do them to connect with the angels and to connect with a higher dimension. Now that we're in the age of Aquarius, everybody is now tuned in to be awakened by this thought that there are, deeper dimensions out there. So let's talk a little bit about the fourth dimension. And what is the fourth dimension?
So we live in the third dimension, and this is the land that we reincarnate into in these physical bodies. We need time, we need space, and we need gravity. These three elements are crucial for a mortal existence. The higher realms, and even the fourth dimension, do not have time there. And so what has happened, and I've studied this a lot because my life mirrored a Hollywood horror film for years. I had to figure stuff out because it was that bad, with things coming and going and harming. It was not uncommon to wake up with bite marks, bruises, scratches every night of the day, every night of the week. Oh. And so I had to figure things out. And what I learned was we live in the third dimension. The Luciferic forces, and I'm using this as a very generic term, the Luciferic forces, the dark forces, those that left the light of God from the higher realms, from Source, from Creator. When they left the light of God, they had to go somewhere, right? Well, nobody ever said, gee, where did they go? They left the fifth dimension and above, and they had to go somewhere, so they ended up setting up shop in what is known as the fourth dimension. And right now, the fourth dimension is not what it should be. So when we mortals live in a third dimensional world, we die, that energy that animates our soul, right? Our physical body is gone. These are just rental units. We don't keep these. The only thing we ever own is your soul, right? Our soul is the only thing we ever own. And so when we leave our bodies, life here on Earth is tough. So we leave the third dimension. We're supposed to go from the third dimension up to the fourth dimension to recharge and cross over. Well, these luciferic forces, and they can be reptilians, they can be grays, they can be angels, they can be all of these things that we're hearing about all over the place. Before, this was like super secret, scary knowledge, but now it's everywhere. So they had set up a net. They needed an energy source. Now that they no longer had access to the light of God, they need a new energy source. So what did they do? They said, these humans on this planet, and other planets too, not just ours, are beings of God, are beings of light. So we are going to thwart God's ascension plan. So they basically cast a net. So now we've got souls who exit the body, go to the third dimension, to the fourth dimension on up. But there's this net that's been cast, and it traps a lot of souls. Hence the term ghost. So what happens is these dark beings utilize ghost energy. It's an energy source. It's a step down transformer for them. We're using the fourth dimension as a step up transformer, but they're using it as a step down. And they have had access to us for many millennia. This spiritual war has been going on forever. We think it's new, but it's not. So we need to make sure that every ghost, every soul crosses over. We've been programmed to believe that a bad soul should rot in hell, right? Oh God, I hope they rot in hell. They were terrible. Well, we know that ghost energy impacts the third dimension. So wouldn't it be better to send even those nefarious souls back to the light of God? So that way the higher realms now have access to these souls for soul healing, soul restoration, and counselors of divine wisdom, so they can understand the life or lifetimes they've lived. That robs these dark entities of a food supply, of an energy supply. And at the end of the day, we're just somebody's lunch unless we educate ourselves on how to do this. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to cross over. It's very easy to help others to cross over. And who doesn't cross over? There's a lot of reasons why a soul doesn't cross over. You're suddenly ejected out of your body and through a car accident or a natural disaster. You don't know you're dead. You're just wandering around wondering why your spouse doesn't talk to you anymore. You're cold, you're hungry, you don't know what's going on. If you're in a car accident and you've been ejected out of your body, you're on the side of the road and you're, screaming at the police officer who's taking the report or whatever, but you don't know you're dead. And this is an energetic signature that stays there. That ghost who doesn't know they died in that car accident on that road creates an energetic signature. What happens, is that now I'm driving down the road, something catches out of the corner of my eye, I look, and now I'm in an accident. We've all heard the concept of dead man's curve, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where does that come from? So if you have an area near you, use that book, Soul Tribe. There's a crossing over prayer in it. And cross them over. Make copies. Awesome. Thanks, guys. And so that's one way a person becomes a ghost. Another one is through guilt of religion. That's probably one of the saddest ways to not cross over, because I wasn't good enough. I was born in sin and I died in sin. So surely God doesn't love me, right? Why would I cross over? God doesn't love me. Children often don't cross over for a couple of reasons. One, they may be looking for an adult in charge. Two, their parents' attachment and grief is so great that they kind of hang on to their kids. And it's not because they're malicious. They're just grieving so hard.
But there's energetic cords.
Yes, and they need to be cut so they can cross over.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I don't think they're so hooked into the grieving and the shock and just everything that goes into it. They don't understand. They set up a shrine. They cry every day. They hold on to their momentums, and And it's a process for you to let go of this. I've been there. I understand.
It's not the natural order of things, right?
It's not the natural order of things, but what you don't understand and people are not aware of is that that particular cord can choke someone's chances of really passing, into the light, because they're so strong, they literally boomerang them back. And so a lot of this awareness and a lot of this research that you're doing, I hope you write a lot more books on this, because we need to understand what really goes on energetically, and the unseen energy that we create with our love and with our thoughts, and also that, our souls are eternal, and also the fact that our soul is extremely desirable in many other dimensions.
Yes, it is. And that soul energy, if you have a loved one who's died, never assume they've crossed over. Use that prayer to help them cross over. It works. I have testimonials all over the world as far as the efficacy of that prayer, because it works. And what you do is, now that you've crossed them over, you've sent them home. They're no longer cold. They're no longer lost. They're no longer grieving, because their grief embeds upon our energetic signature too. And so I can't separate my grief from my loved one's grief. And this is really true of suicide. Suicide victims need to cross over and go home. Many times, a person who's committed suicide has committed suicide many lifetimes, and they're almost like they're in a do loop. Like I said, and actually I haven't said it yet, these dark entities will kidnap souls and reincarnate them over on this planet. Not all babies are heaven sent. It doesn't mean they're a bad soul. It means that they had unfortunate experiences happen to them, and we want to cross them over. When we reincarnate, those lower astral beings, hell, limbo, purgatory, those entities from the Luciferic forces that reside there can also reincarnate us over and over and over. Serial killers are not heaven sent. That's a fair statement. Where do they come from? We all have a spiritual team, and that's why my book, Soul Tribe, is about growing your spiritual team with intention and discernment. When we understand that we have the power to cultivate our spiritual team for the greater good of our own soul, we take our soul sovereignty, we take ourselves back. We own ourselves. If we just assume that my quote unquote spirit guide is of the light side, how do we know? There's a lot of shapeshifters out there in that fourth dimension. And I talk about tools, how to discern who's who in your spiritual team, because I never blindly trust. I probably have 4 to 5 clients a day that I work with, new ones every single day, and I never ever assume that my spiritual team is who they say they are. I vet them every single time, because I don't want to make a mistake. Because if I make a mistake on who my spiritual team is because of a clever shapeshifter, I'm not doing my job. And I think that's fair for everyone else to assume as well.
So along with her book, she has these little workbooks, which I love. And one of them is about trust. And when we are in this phase of Scorpio constellation right now, trust is very, very difficult. It's one of the things I work on with people who have a lot of Scorpion planets. And if you have your sun, moon, rising, your Venus, or your Mars in Scorpio, trust is a major issue. And this is something that is really going to come into play during these next 4 weeks. A little bit longer, if you follow Vedic astrology. It's going to be going about 6 weeks to 8 weeks. But this issue of trust and who is who and what is there, I remember developing this particular process, and I always asked for a key word of who I'm talking to. I always, said, well, what's a key word? So if I go to my client or I, am counseling someone, if that particular client or that particular person says that key word, I know that I can go ahead with the information that I know. And I know you have your own process about this. Let me ask you a question. You're a remote viewer. What exactly is that? And can anybody be a remote viewer, or how does that work?
Remote viewing is the ability to project your consciousness to another time, space, and location. So remote viewing, it's getting more and more well known. There's a couple of institutes out there that teach how to remote view. My issue with a lot of these institutions that teach remote viewing is they do not teach the person's safety protocols as they go out and remote view, because there's a lot of things in the ether that aren't for our greater good. I had been asked, I had a client who was from somewhere in the deep south, and she called me up and she says, I have a problem. We've been to psychiatrists, we've been to psychotherapists. Our daughter, who's 18, keeps telling us she wants to kill her sister. She needs to kill her sister, and she's never been in trouble. She's never had a bad bone in her body. We don't know what's going on. And she goes, well, and I'm a Christian, she says. I'm like, well, me too, but a different, not your average. But so I said, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to remote view your home to see what's going on. So I get her address, and as I am remote viewing the home, I see something that was very interesting, and I hadn't quite seen it like this setup, quite like this. This young girl, who was about 18, had 3 male ghosts attached to her. That's normal, right? In my world, that's very normal, very benign. But what was attached to the ghosts was a dark entity, which I call a black magician. He is teaching the ghosts how to become a black magician, like he is. So these 3 ghosts were kidnapped, and if they don't perform, they get tortured by the dark beings. This is ghost energy. This could be somebody's grandpa. He got caught in the net.
Wow.
And what they were doing was these 3 ghosts' job was to get this kid, the voices in her head, to get her to kill or harm her sister.
Mm-hmm.
So I removed the 3 ghosts, and I removed the dark entity that was attaching itself to the 3 ghosts in a separate containment field,
mm-hmm.
crossed them all over, and brought them back to God, source, creator, whatever your word is for it. And this girl, it's been over a year, I think it's been about a year, has never had an issue since.
I had the same thing happen, except that when I went and looked at the house, because it was before I did a feng shui session, I noticed something was off in the teenager's bedroom, and I went in there, and it was in the closet, and there was an entity in the closet that she would go into the closet and she would cut herself, and she was very externally, she was very gothic, dark, that type. And to remove that, as you had suggested in the beginning, I used Archangel Michael,
mm-hmm.
and I had a rosary on, and I went in, and this particular entity, actually, I could hear it. And he said that he had been there a very long time. So when you see these Hollywood films, they get it from somewhere. I'm telling you. They do. They get it from somewhere. And I was in the middle of one just like you and removed this particular really heavy, thick energy. It was just like a big glob. And that girl came home from school and she wanted to redo her room, and she took the safety pins out of her face and her her ears and everything. And anyway, she's doing quite well, and she's a new mom, and God bless her. So it is real.
It's real. And these entities love teenage energy. So as parents of teenagers, we really have to be careful. Violent video games opens up portals. And this is usually a mom of sons thing. Getting these sons who have had access to these violent video games, which are, by the way, connected to their buddies all over the world. We're connecting to the lower realms because these violent video games is violence. Violence is low frequency.
Yeah.
These entities come through there and they start inhabiting and they start manipulating. You know, that young girl you were talking about was probably doing these piercings and the goth and the this and the that based on what these entities were whispering to her that she was not consciously aware of.
Right. And there's a shift that happens when you are a teenager. Your hormones are shifting, your energy, your aura is shifting, what I see anyway. I have to tell you, you can't find people that do this kind of work in the phone book, or, it's just not there, and and when we do this work, Laura, the pushback we get from the religious sector as well. And I just commend you for really stepping out there and talking about it and talking about something that I think is a really cool thing that you did your workbook on. Let's talk a little bit about this. Sovereignty over your soul.
Sovereignty. We are in a war for our soul sovereignty because these dark beings really want pieces of our soul. Yesterday, and I have permission to share this story, I had a client who was an SSP, secret space program, and her soul had been split a few times in this program. And so I worked with her a couple of months ago. And we just cleared up the darknesses. And then I will go often, if it's a severe case, go back and check in. And I checked in with her yesterday. And she said, oh my gosh, since then, her whole life just went click, 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 click. And she's put together again.
Aww.
Because these beings and entities are gone. We removed devices and implants that were within the body that these beings, these aliens, this tech put in there. And she sold her property that she was trying to sell that would never sell for 3 times the asking. Amazing things happened because we cleared her and we disconnected those ties she had with the secret space program. Satanic ritual abuse victims, I get a lot of those too, and those are just some of the saddest cases. It's not easy, but it's worth it because the only essence, the only thing we ever own is our sovereignty. So how do we get it back? How is it that so many of us are running around with what I call this brain fog? How do you remove that brain fog so you can think clearly, so you can have your life back? One is we need to connect to the angelic realms, but the other one is we need to think about how we've been programmed to do certain things, like prayer. We've been programmed to pray like this. This closes the energy circuit. What if we prayed with our hands open like the earlier days of Jesus? We now become a bigger conduit to connect to the divine. There's all these little things that we can do that just make so much difference. You talked about praying over your food to raise the vibration of your food. I recommend everybody out there listening, go look at Dr. Emoto, Emoto, and his studies on how thought can change water crystals. It's beautiful work. It's very intentional. So when you look at the power of words, you look at thought forms, which is those thoughts are things. If you good feng shui practice, and I'm not a feng shui practitioner, I'm going to be honest, I know just enough to be a little dangerous.
Thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah, but I mean, you're right though, with the pendants in the kids' bedrooms, those are sharp and pointy. On your water heater, write words that are of value to you: love, hope, health, wealth, gratitude. Write those words on your water heater in your home, because now that water gets, sorry, I didn't know he was in here.
That's all right.
Those waters now become embedded with those vibrations, and now you're drinking it. You pray below your food so you can bring that energy and fuse it up, especially if you're eating food that you're in a restaurant, you don't know if it's, organic or whatever that is. You can do so much to raise the vibration, because what goes in your body is you.
Absolutely. And a lot of times, I think, and I'm talking about my personal experience here, but when I was younger, I mean, nobody even said the word planet. I mean, I have to say, universe, what? Are you doing a 6th grade project or something?
Right? You got your 9 little balls. Oh, 8 now.
And the moons.
Yeah.
But, it was one of those things where when I started talking, people were just shaking their heads. It's so good to hear people actually knowing, about astrology, about feng shui now, about Mercury going into retrograde, about souls, about your soul being eternal, about the angelic realm. And this soul tribe that her book is about, if you were on this full moon to write down who you would like as your soul tribe, and put it on your wish list, this is a wonderful time to direct this particular energy to give yourself the gift of protection. I want to talk to Laura and also Duncan about the different tools and resources that we have for protection. Duncan, can you say something?
Yeah, I know Laura knows this very well. The rest shield is one of the best things that has helped her. That's one of her, magic tools that she uses in the back of her pocket. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. This has a field of 20 feet. It has a 20-foot radius, and it emits a field of energy that really entities do not like. And a lot of the times I've heard, I've worked at Fresh and Alive, and, I make these. And, there's technology that goes into this that produces scalar wave energy that pushes away entities. And it's residing at the Sherman resonance, and along with all the crystals and all the frequencies within the resin, it produces frequencies that these entities just don't like being around. And I know for sure that's one thing that's helped me a lot, and has helped all of us a lot. Everyone here, Kimla and Laura. So,
oh, absolutely. I have them all over my house. I'm a big target, I'll be honest, just based on my work. But this Ken Rolla's Rest Shield was a game changer for me. That was like the first time in years I could sleep once I had that. I mean, literally I bought one for every room, which was a little overkill. But they I was literally a target. I mean, they're great. And on that there's a button there that can create a really nice night light for your child also.
Right. It's really easy. The little cord goes right in there.
And you just turn it on and you forget about it.
Yep. And this just lights up.
Yeah. And I have some portable scalar energy devices on my website too, because I travel a lot. So I've got some keychains with that similar technology, but I can't carry that through the airport. If I could, I would. Mm-hmm. But, TSA already looks at me weird enough with all my tools and protections. And Yeah, there's a lot of things. Shungite is a newer resource that's been on the market for a few years. It's a black stone from Russia. Elite Shungite is really good. Black tourmaline is great. High frequency music. Everybody has access to Mozart on YouTube. Play an 8-hour track at a very low volume, because when you do that, Mozart's the highest known frequency that we have. There might be other stuff out there on YouTube. I'm not going to get into it because it changes all the time. And something that claims to be high frequency music, I'm not going to trust. I need to test it. But Mozart in general is tried and true. Play it on a low level on your computer or whatever in your home. 8-hour tracks. You can be gone, you can be home, whatever. The energy of music flows out. It is never contained. It starts to embed and go through your objects to clean and clear. Essential oils are a really great tool. Also, my favorite is frankincense. The Christ child was gifted 3 things by the Magi: frankincense, gold, and myrrh. Nobody ever says, gee, why was Christ gifted tree sap, right? They're high frequency, that's why. So frankincense oil, when I go out, I put it on my solar plexus, I'll put it on my third eye, I'll put it on my crown chakra. You can, when we sleep at night, we tend to astral project and travel. And put it on your feet at night with a carrier oil. It can be helpful also for protection. Orange essential oil is really good if you need a mood lifter, if you're dealing with some brain fog and that kind of stuff. If you're grieving, lavender is a great tool to use. There's so much out there. Bach flower remedies are great as well. If you're going through a really tough trauma, we all get hit. Right? There's no point in living a mortal life unless we have these experiences that our soul can grow from, as difficult and hard as they can be. If you've been, a number of years ago, my daughter and I came upon a really horrific bicycle accident in the middle of a road. And it was one of those comedy of errors where, nobody did what was right. They picked the guy up. They were trying to give him water. He had a head injury. And so we got out of the car, rushed over there, got him situated. The ambulance comes, and we find out it's my daughter's English teacher.
Oh, wow.
And so by now we're right? We're just like, that adrenaline rush is so great. Rescue Remedy by Bach Flower is a really good one to start controlling the adrenaline, because our adrenal glands get so taxed. And I think everybody, for the most part, has taxed adrenal glands at this point in time, because everything is being bombarded, right? Me too. It's just like, wow, bam, bam, bam. Take care of your adrenal glands. When our adrenal glands are healthy and somebody cuts us off in the road, we get a spurt of energy, right? It keeps us alert. When they're taxed, we can either be really, really tired all the time. We can be just exhausted. We can be, our body can be shaking and that kind of thing. So take care of the adrenal glands. Noni juice is a blood cleanser, and that can help as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Your last workbook is about intuition.
Intuition is our most profound psychic ability. It is not, however, considered to be the sexiest psychic ability. People tend to think seeing dead people is really sexy, right? No. When we listen to our intuition, we connect to the divine, we connect to God's source. When we listen to our intuition, we start making wiser choices. As we make wiser choices, our life flows smoother. We take a step back and we take a breath, and then we react versus the knee-jerk reaction. Our intuition can help us. We have been programmed to have our intuition taken away from us at a young age, a lot of us, right? Oh, what are you talking about, kid? This is not blah, blah, blah. So help your children develop their intuition. Okay, Johnny, what do you think is a wiser choice, A or B? And have those conversations with your kid. It helps them to develop their intuition. It helps them to grow, and you're really giving your kid a leg up in life when you can do that.
I also want to add there's a specific word that I use to help that intuition, and it's what do you feel? What are you feeling? That really gets you connecting into your emotions. And, some kids, they said, no, what do you feel? Well, I don't feel cold, I don't feel hot, and I don't feel hungry. Those are the only feelings that they usually, express.
Right.
But, if they're feeling scared or alone, or if they're feeling like they have an unseen, if they're having fun, I feel fun when I'm around my unseen playmates. And, or I feel like I'm keeping a secret. That's a big one. That's a big one.
Yes, it is. It really helps parents tune in. And we can also trust our feelings. If you come up to somebody who may be a stranger and you kind of like recoil, trust yourself. Yeah. We have handshakes for a reason. When we shake somebody's hand, we're feeling their energetic field. So trust yourself with these things. And these 3 journals are designed to go with the book, to help you explore. If you feel like you need assistance with soul sovereignty, saying no, the classic empath is great for this one, right? You write down those moments where you're not feeling so strong, or you're not using your intuition, or when you do use your intuition, how do you feel? What was the reaction? So these 3 journals work independently of one another based on what your need is, but they can go with the book as you're reading the book and exploring the book. And I've had, honestly, some really good reviews. I've got people out there who are using this as a study guide, as a book club. It's very easy to read. I try to keep it logical and explain things clearly, and keep it interesting too, so it's not just a ho-hum workbook. So, and I've also developed a course around this book. Spiritual self-defense. And this is great for anyone, any healers, any parents, anybody who wants to improve this element of their life. And it's a 3-week class, and it comes with a very extensive clearing kit with a book, 2 books, a journal, black tourmaline, resins, with the charcoals that go with it. It's very, very extensive. I have the class going on again right now, but it'll be going in January as well. And if anybody's interested, just shoot me an email and I'll put you on the wait list for January.
How do they get a hold of you?
They can go to thekarmicpath.com, KARMICPATH.com, and would love to hear from you if you have any questions or anything like that. Absolutely.
And that is her expertise. I cannot thank you enough for coming on tonight and explaining this hard subject to get through. And you do it so well and so clear. Thank you so much for coming on. I personally loved the book. I am working on the journals, which I think is really cool. The journals, by the way. Because the book doesn't end. That your work begins.
Right.
I can't stress it enough. I've been reading this book. I was able to read it in a day. I'm a horrible reader, by the way. It's so easy to read. I literally sleep with this. I put it on my nightstand because there is these crossing over souls prayer and dark entity removal prayer in the back of the book. And it's been so powerful. I feel like this is necessary for everybody because as we're walking into these higher consciousness areas of time and space, we're waking up. I think people are really waking up, and as we're moving into those new areas, I think this is becoming more necessary to understand what's out in the ether. And I feel like this is like a cheat sheet or a guide into like the 4th dimension. And I see this to be so necessary. So thank you for doing that, Laura. This is so important.
You're welcome. This is a result of everything I've been through, what worked, what didn't work. And I want to be able to, I don't want anybody to have to deal with what I went through. And that's why all of this knowledge is in there. It's jam-packed with information.
It's amazing.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to wrap it up. I can't thank you enough for coming along with us for this hour. And we have a great show coming up next Wednesday as well. You can always catch us on YouTube live at 6 p.m. Eastern and 3 p.m. Pacific. Thank you so much to my wonderful guest, Laura Van Tyne, to my wonderful producer, Duncan Sabatino. If you would like to come on the show or have anyone that would like to use their voice and work with Duncan, you can get a hold of Duncan where, Duncan?
Yep, just send me an email to 27degree, that is DEG, producer, at gmail.com. That's in the description below the video, and I have the book and Laura's website also linked down in the description as well for you guys to find.
And if anybody would like a session with me, I would love to get you in right away. You don't have to wait a year, okay?
You know what? You're really good, Kimla. There's a lot of astrologers out there, but there's no one like you, and I really do mean that. You're amazing with what you do. So,
thank you so much for that. And I just want to wish everybody a wonderful new moon tomorrow, and make out those wish lists and reprogram your thoughts. Use prayer. Use the angels. They're out there for us and for protection. Until next time, may the angels protect you and guide you. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, guys.
thank you.